So we are going to be looking at doofus Charlie Kirk weighing in on the 2020 election and also heaping some praise on Trump as he always has. But first, I want to give a shout out to all my patrons. Shout out to Gavin Borden, Shia Dewar, Daniel S., Sunyal Maru, Ruben, For the Win All Day, Matthew Castro, Progressive Joe, Munir Hakim, The Canuck Connection, Young King, Kathy Healy, Will Carr, Diego Trejo, Stephen, Omid Mortazavi, Vojtek Seitzel, Omar Atik, Travis Gossi, Jay, Eric Fry, John Tunka, Angel, Tyler Robles, Gregory Riggs, Brian Newton, Real Deep State, Hunter Hess, Jacob Bartholomew, Aaron Pimentel, Jamie Miller, Patrick Cheek, and Chubho Roy. So if you'd like to support the show and reap all the benefits that come with it, make sure to become a patron at patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. Now, Charlie Kirk went on Fox News with Judge Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine Pirro, by the way, is a complete lunatic, an absolute lunatic. She's a really weird person, too. And she and Charlie Kirk are going to discuss the 2020 upcoming elections. They're going to discuss the Trump presidency. They're going to discuss all of the current 2020 Democratic candidates. And it's going to go as you expect. It's going to be heaping a lot of praise on Trump for stupid reasons. And it's also going to, contain some just generally speaking stupid stuff. So go ahead and check out this clip, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Turning Point USA president founder Charlie Kirk joins me now with a reaction to that and more. Good evening, Charlie. All right, let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard and Cory Booker. Who do you want to start with?
Well, the list just keeps growing. I'm trying to find a Democrat senator not running for president.
Yeah.
But what's the commonality between them all, whether it be Kamala Harris or Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren or Kirsten Gillibrand? None of them are from the Midwest of America, and none of them are talking about the values of the heartland of this country. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, could you be further away from the Midwest, being from Hawaii? But what's the point here is that as the left gets more radical, they grow closer to their base in Malibu and Manhattan, and they just become further away from the Midwestern heartland values that this president represents so courageously. So to answer your question, I think he's in great position to win re-election in 2020. Look at the economic numbers. I mean, the experts said we're going to enter a recession. I don't think anytime soon, absolutely defying all these expectations with record job numbers. Wages are finally going up. And the Democrats from the two coasts are complaining about issues that, honestly, the people in Middle America don't have much resonance with.
You know, it's interesting. I heard today, and I don't know where I heard it, but it was on television. I heard someone say that Tulsi Gabbard, it's the biggest insult I think you could give a politician. They said she's very forgettable. I remember laughing. I said, wow, that's like a knife. But what about Kamala Harris? I mean, she had quite a big opening.
She had a great crowd. We'll see how she plays in Iowa. We'll see how she plays in the middle part of this country. But look, I mean, it's going to be the Trump-hating Olympics between every one of these Democrats that have announced. I don't even think they're 1/4 of the way through of all these announcements. And you had Elizabeth Warren apologize to the Cherokee Nation a couple days ago. And, of course, you have the Democrat governor of Virginia who's in some trouble right now. So it's a very tough time for Democrats. They're trying to find their identity while also trying to hate a president who's being immensely successful.
They're trying to hate a president, and I got to tell you, their values are so to the left of what most people with sanctuary cities, porous borders, drugs coming in. I mean, let's protect the caterpillars and the turtles, but, hey, to hell with the babies if the mother doesn't feel like she wants it after it's born and born alive. But I thought it was pretty funny that I don't want to call her that name. Elizabeth Warren had to apologize to the Cherokee Nation. What a disaster!
Well, right, they're in total shambles here, and this is just a testament to how successful the president is. Whether he's delivering peace in the Korean Peninsula, he's abolishing ISIS overseas, the roaring economy, they can't find any sort of message. And look, a Democrat is going to have to win in Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, or Florida if they want to win in 2020. And their abortion stance, good luck. Good luck with your new abortion stance in Iowa. That's all I have to say is good luck trying to say that you want post-birth abortion.
All right, and let's talk finally about the president's State of the Union. How do you think he's going to do?
Look, he is a primetime clutch player. I call him the Tom Brady of American politics, kind of foreshadowing the Super Bowl tomorrow. Everyone says, oh, he's done. They try to count him out, and he comes back time and time again. He's a clutch player. He's going to do wonderful Tuesday, and I think Tom Brady's going to do pretty good tomorrow as well.
All right, so let's talk about the Super Bowl. Who's going to win?
I got the Patriots, and look, I'm still not over some of those referee calls, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, a lot of
my heart
people
goes out to my family and friends in New Orleans. I think they got totally robbed here, but go Patriots. A lot of people hate him. I love success, and I love Tom Brady and what he's been able to do. Well,
yeah, you got to give him credit. I don't know, is it the pajamas? I was reading about his pajamas, and I almost bought them. I don't know what's about them, but so what about the commercials? I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing the commercials tomorrow.
It's probably the best part of the whole Super Bowl, right? I mean, look, it's pretty amazing. They have millions and millions of views there, just on some of these commercials. And you look at, unfortunately, I hope they don't get too political tomorrow, Judge. The one thing I hope, and this is the one thing, please, to these commercials that have been aired, please don't get too political. I mean, the left has ruined everything else. They tried to ruin the NFL, and it's finally coming back. Please don't ruin the Super Bowl commercials.
And you know what? The truth, Charlie, you are so right. Americans want to laugh. They want to enjoy the game. They want to root for their team, and I'm with you, by the way. Charlie Kirk, we love you. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, so like Charlie Kirk, like Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk spoke about the Midwest as to being one of the reasons why the current crop of Democrats will have no chance against Donald Trump. Now, first of all, Trump isn't from the Midwest. He's from New York. That's not one of the Midwestern states, and we know that very obviously. Now, Trump is, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. We already know that he was getting paid money, insane amounts of money. He got a small loan of $1 million, but he got far more than that, tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars after his dad had died. He had inherited a bunch of money. And I believe if he had just liquidated all that money into stocks, he would have, and just chilled, he would have more money than he does today. Because he's not a very good businessman. He's barely made it by. So what he's trying to get at here is he's trying to say that the reason why Trump won is because of his appeal to, Midwestern voters and an appeal to the workers in the United States who have seen their jobs shipped overseas. Now, this is actually true that Trump did actually win the election because of that, because, if you recall, the Rust Belt fell, and it went in favor of Trump. Had those three Rust Belt states not gone down, Michigan and Wisconsin, and the other state had not gone down to Trump instead of going to Hillary, then we'd have an entirely different election. Those three states had flipped. What would have happened is Hillary would have won. So there was a big change there. And the reason is because Trump outflanked Hillary to the left on trade. So typically the right-wing policy on trade and what's deemed free trade, like these free trade agreements that we have, NAFTA and different things like that, CAFTA and whatnot, those deals, typically speaking, due to the free market infatuation that exists amongst the conservatives and the right wing, typically speaking, the right wing favors these free trade agreements because, there's that principle of free movement of labor, which exists mostly with libertarians, but that's, free market exists within conservative ideology very heavily. There's an infatuation with it, and not having that is, doing protectionism. So they're not typically big fans of that, but Trump bucked the orthodoxy amongst the Republicans and instead went in favor of going leftwards on that, and that's what he ended up doing, and that's what ended up winning him the election. So what I'm trying to get at here is the irony of him calling the Democrats extremists or radicals is their favorite term now, is hilarious considering the fact that the reason why Trump won was because he flanked left. Remember, he said that, he wasn't like the other Republicans. He wasn't going to cut Social Security and Medicare and the other entitlements. He said that. That was what made him different from everyone else, and that's the reason why he won. So the idea of having an analysis of, oh, well, Trump's going to win because of all these radical Democrats is hilariously stupid because it doesn't make any sense. And it is the complete opposite of a rational conclusion of what you would come to, talking about this type of thing. So that doesn't make sense. Also, the Democrats that have come out so far are not radicals. You've got Bernie hasn't even announced yet. The only one who's even had like real policy positions that she believes in that you can deem radical is Elizabeth Warren, who proposed a 2% wealth tax on estates with over 50 million, someone with assets of over $50 million. Is that really radical to you? A wealth tax of measly 2% on assets of someone with assets over $50 million? Really? That's what you're calling radical? Now, Kamala Harris and those other people who are coming out saying they favor Medicare for all are outright liars. And we just saw Kamala Harris backtrack. That's just not me making it up. We know she's not going to do that. It's very fucking obvious. And if you can't tell that, you're stupid. And especially considering that, like I said, she actually ended up walking back her position, saying that she's open to more moderate routes of healthcare reform. So all those people are not radicals, not even close. You think Cory Booker's a radical? You think Kamala Harris is a radical? You think even Elizabeth Warren? None of these people are like that. I think Elizabeth even gave like kind of a weak answer on Medicare for all. Now, a position that he has or something that he said that I think does make somewhat sense is where he said that the Democrats currently don't stand to fare too well against Donald Trump. That is actually a true statement. I do think that these Democrats will not run too well against Trump. So if you think of someone like Kamala Harris, for example, they're going to go after her using the Willie Brown thing, and Trump's going to hammer that home. And Trump is very successful at using personal attacks, regardless of whether they are ethical or not. He's very good at it, and so that's probably what's going to happen to Kamala. Cory's just a weak loser who's going to get hammered by Trump. And if you think that a Democrat will easily win against Trump, you're probably the same person who thought that Trump was surely going to lose in 2016 by even a decent margin. You're probably that person, which would be hilarious because that's ridiculous and not true. By the time those come around, dude, people don't want to go out and vote for Cory Booker. People don't want to go out and vote for Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris, I think, is going to struggle with the black vote too. I'm not sure about that, but that's what it looks like. It looks like there's a lot of ground game of African Americans who have firsthand seen what she's done in the Bay Area and in California and will refuse to support her. So I think Charlie might be on to something there when he talks about how those Democrats probably don't fare much of a chance. Now, they did trash Tulsi a lot. Don't know why they enjoy doing that so much. Then we get the typical, he didn't gish gallop this time, but he did say the economic stats and how great Trump is. When, as we've explained, because Charlie Kirk does this all the time, when I talked about the Charlie Kirk and Hassan Piker debate, those economic numbers come from President Obama's policies. So if you're going to credit Trump for these types of things, like the unemployment going down and the unemployment for black people and Latinos, you have to credit Obama because he's the one who started those trends. But they're not going to do that. And then on the other hand, you also have that unemployment isn't the best measure because you're talking about, first of all, the unemployment number isn't actually legitimate. The one that they're using, I believe, is the U6 one right now, which is they just check based on how many people have applied for unemployment benefits, which doesn't really represent how many people aren't employed. And it is the thing of, if you have low unemployment but wages are low and they're not going up to a reasonable number, to a living wage, then there's no point of that. And by the way, an economic number is, remember what Obama's deficit in his final year was? It was $400 billion. Trump's, I believe, is over $1 trillion now, maybe even at 1.2, somewhere around that ballpark, 1.1. Guys, that is an insane increase in terms of deficit. And the idea that Republicans are deficit hawks even in the slightest is legitimately the dumbest thing that I've ever heard, ever. Period, point blank. It is the dumbest thing. Never, ever believe those, just jokes forever claiming that they care about the deficit. They have absolutely exposed themselves for not giving two flying shits especially when they passed the tax cut, which didn't end up paying for itself even in the slightest. Now, the political thing, getting political in terms of the ads, what I've never understood about that is, like, Tommy Lahren, for example. I remember back when it was the Super Bowl with the Falcons versus the Patriots, and Tommy Lahren was saying that, I think it was it someone, I think it was Katy Perry or someone who was doing the halftime show, I forgot, and there were reports that she might get political with it, and Tammy was like, I hope she doesn't get political with it. And then she herself is like making the Super Bowl political. So when the Patriots won, she was really excited because she was saying it was a win for Trump. And they don't actually care about it being apolitical. And this is the same thing with Ben Shapiro on Hollywood, where he says that, all these Hollywood lib cucks, I wish these Hollywood actors didn't give their opinions because they're just actors. No, that's not what you think. If all the actors were conservatives, you'd be ecstatic. That's the truth. So this goes the same way. They don't care that it's political. They just want it to be political in the right-wing conservative way. That's what they want. And a point of agreement, I mean, the Saints did get robbed. And I have to mention that if you like Tom Brady and Patriots and you're not from Boston, you're a massive tool. Big-time bootlegger tool for sure. And that's what Charlie is. But the Saints did get robbed. We deserved a rematch, and I'm boycotting the Super Bowl for that reason, so I'm not watching that piece of shit because the Rams cheated us, and the NFL was complicit because they were supposed to make that call. And there's a rule in the rule book that says that, we could restart the game from there. If we had got that penalty, I believe we could have kicked a field goal and left 15 seconds on the clock, meaning they had no fucking shot. And don't give me the bullshit about, you lost in overtime. Your argument is moot because if it had happened that way, there is no fucking overtime. So don't give me your contrarian Rams bandwagon bullshit. We just got robbed. The robbery of the century. Absolutely. So anyways, that's Charlie Kirk's thoughts. Not too on point, but hey, it is what it is.